Hello there, this is James and you're watching Tixee Live. In today's episode, it's going to be a little bit light because all the main events is happening a little bit later in the week. But there is a story I want to briefly talk to you about, a story which broke this morning. We'll have a look at that and the impact that has on a particular currency pair so far today. But before we get into that, don't forget these little videos are for educational purposes only, and no way whatsoever should ever be taken as advice. I always suggest you do your own research and do your own due diligence, and of course, know the risks at hand before entering any trade. With that out of the way, let's get started. So, as you know, those who were kindly to watch my morning session know that round about just after the European session opened, we had breaking news that Boris Johnson was going to face a vote of no confidence. Vote of no confidence. So, I've got a quick question. Hey, it's my friend. Hello there, everybody. That's a nice one of my. Thank you ever so much. Hey there, how are you? Hope you're well, sir. Hope you're well. Anyway, as I was saying, he faces a vote of confidence. Now, this is down to the fact that for one, PartyGate. Obviously, we all know about that. PartyGate, those illegal parties he's had at number 10 Downing Street during the time of lockdown. So that's caused a big issues for him. And as well as that, the state of the inflation and the state of the UK in general. So he is facing this vote, and he could, if he loses it, he could be forced to step down. Okay. Now, how does this all? By the way, the vote will happen between 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So how does this affect the British pound against the dollar, like I talked about? How does it affect this? I mean, it's politics change. It's not economics. Well, let me show you how it's affecting the British pound. Because yes, it is politics, but the outcome of this could lead to a snap general election. Okay. And obviously a general election means that potentially a change in government. Change in government means change in monetary policy. So this is why it can affect currencies. And the British pound, US dollar, or the British pound in general, is very heavily influenced by politics. And you see a lot of times politics can affect its direction. Think of Brexit, for example. Think of the hung parliament with Theresa May a couple of years ago. That damaged the pound quite considerably, that hung parliament. So it can affect the pound in quite a few ways. And politics does seem to drive it a fair bit. Now, as we can see at the moment, if you have a look at my little chart here, as you can see, before this news broke, it was trading around that support we've been watching around 1.2493. It then skyrocketed and hit a resistance, which is the 200-day moving average, around 125.75. So that's quite a nice move. It's since sold off from the highs, but it's finding a little bit of buying again, around about 125.45. That's where the 100-day moving average is. So this is what's really been affecting this today. There is other traders out there who think that the market's buying into the cable as well, British pound, US dollar, because of the Bank of England's interest rate decisions coming up. But really, it was the Boris Johnson story which has driven it a bit today. Okay, so that's where the pound is at the moment. How about the other markets, James? How about the other markets? Well, don't forget we had the whole good news is bad news thing on Friday with the high NFP. Well, today the market has started off with a little bit of a spring in its step, a slight spring in its step. It's slightly more optimistic because the market is sort of thinking that despite the high job number, where they had a little bit of panic because they suddenly thought that job number is good, the NFP, because it came at 390 versus the 320 expected, they sort of thought, right, the Fed's going to be aggressive and will increase interest rates quite dramatically. The market's now sort of feeling that actually, I think the Fed won't be that dramatic and we can handle it. The usual, change the mood within every trading session. So they're slightly optimistic. We can see the lights of the FTSE is up, trading up about 0.77% higher. DAX is up by 1.31%, and Eurostoxx is trading about 1.55% higher. So there is a little bit of hope with that. However, inflation will be the focus again later in the week. It'll be a big focus on inflation. once again. Basically, what we have the ECB interest rate decision. They won't do anything, but the press conference, they'll be pushed about inflation. Don't forget, inflation in the EU is 7.4%. And then the big one, which I will do a watch along, which is the US CPI happening on Friday. And don't forget, it's Consumer Price Index. That's the main measure for inflation. And don't forget, I will be doing a watch along with that. Okay. And bear in mind, the US inflation is currently at 8.3%. That's going to be potentially a really big one to watch, because if it comes in higher than that, the market might get scared and think, yes, the Fed's going to be really aggressive. We might see the bears move back into the market. But as it stands for now, we've got a few bulls sort of running the market in a good, positive mood. So don't forget, watch along with me Friday, US CPI. Okay, well, that's practically a little bit. Oh, I've got a question here, I think. Do you expect the GBP to strengthen still? That's a good question. Do you expect the British pound to strengthen still if Bojo or Boris Johnson survives? Good question. Good question. I think he will survive. Okay, I think he will survive. And I think the market is looking at it in a way that he will potentially survive. If he does survive, it depends by what sort of number it is. If it's quite close, okay, then he might cause a snap general election. So that could give the cable a bit of a boost in it. If he loses, which I don't think he will, I think he'll pass just by the skin of his teeth, we could see the market react slightly differently. Anyway, I think he will survive, and I think if he does, is what his reactions will be afterwards, which will call the direction of the cable. So definitely worth watching. Definitely worth watching just to see what the outcome is and see how the British pound reacts. But great question again, buddy. Brilliant question. Thank you. Okay. So any more questions at all? Anyone? No? Well, don't be shy. Always, please feel free to ask me questions whenever you wish. That's what I'm here for. And if I know the answer, I will certainly try to answer it. If not, I'll find out for you and tell you next time. So anyway, don't forget, I'm back online tomorrow at 8 a.m. UTC to do the morning session. So I look forward to seeing you then. And of course, I'm back on again tomorrow at 1 p.m. UTC to do the afternoon session. Tomorrow will be a lot longer program because there's a lot more to talk about. We'll talk about obviously what happens in the UK tonight, but there's a lot more development. And don't forget, I'll probably be doing a special on the ECB press conference, which is happening on Thursday, because that's going to be a big focus on that. So I'll do on that. Anyway, if you're watching me on Facebook and you like me or like it, give us a follow. If you're watching me on YouTube and you like it, subscribe if you like. Click the notification so you know next time when I'm going live. And if you enjoyed this episode and you found it insightful, give me one of those. It's Monday. I'll put a smile on my face. Anyway, till then, don't forget, these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever should ever be taken as advice. I do suggest you do your own research, do your own due diligence, and of course, know the risks at hand before entering any trade. Till next time, every single one of you, trade safe.